Okay.
Everything's perfect.
All right,
Okay,
great.
I don't have any idea what we're talking about.
That's
or
great.
What we're doing.
You're not
so-
supposed to.
Okay.
That's part of the
It's a
thrill.
surprise.
That's part of the thrill. All right, so if you're rolling, I'm just going to start.
Part of the thrill.
Yeah. Okay. Today we have with us Ann Buchanan, Chief HR Officer. Today we have with us Ann Buchanan, Chief HR Officer, CHRO. I never realized that was like a thing,
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
CHRO, but that's like a
Chief
new
HR
thing, right?
officer.
Or
I
has
think
it just been
probably
around?
newer than that. Yeah, there's just been different iterations. Now you'll hear Chief People Officer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Chief People
Yeah.
Officer, yeah, Chief Talent Officer, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. What made you want to go into HR?
Well, gosh, I didn't have any intention of being in HR. I think
Oh,
that
really?
no, it wasn't like a life's dream or a goal or anything like that. And I was a single teenage mother, and I needed to have a job that I could be off on the weekends so I could be with my daughter. And, I didn't have family to lean on, for babysitting and all of those things. And so, I, at a very young age, went into the corporate world. I started as a receptionist. And really, that's where it kind of bloomed, my HR career. I started, writing job ads. Somebody was like, hey, can you write this ad and post it? That's like back in the day when it was in newspapers, really dating myself, and then it became like monster.com and just turned into this whole other thing. But, I kind of realized after I started writing and posting job ads, then I would kind of schedule interviews and chat with candidates. And, then that was the next ask is like, can you just screen them? And like, here's the job description and here's what I want you to ask. And I think I was just kind of good at it. And so, the leadership kept saying, oh, you're good at this. You're good at this. And I thought, this is fun. I think what could be more fun than unlocking a dream or a goal for somebody, which is their career, that job they really wanted, like being able to offer that job and get them excited about the company and do that kind of marketing. I really felt like it was just, I got so lucky because that's the fun part of HR. And I decided, okay, I'm going to lean into this and really take my career in this direction. And, landed my first like full HR job and, more like a HR coordinator or administrator or something like that. And so I think that's where I kind of learned the more granular pieces of HR and foundations and things like that. And literally just grew myself from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just kind of fell in your lap, or it was your destiny, perhaps?
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
it was my destiny. It found me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so I think, it's a gift. I love HR. I love people. There's certainly hard parts about it, but I think that all the things that I do, regardless of whether they're hard or not, I think they're important.
Yeah.
And, to be able to have an opportunity to do something you love is a gift.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Preach. So speaking of that, this whole thing is about giving music. And so I was like thinking about you because you're like a woman in music. Like I've seen you on panels like at NAMM and other places, but you're not a musician. And so I just kind of wanted to know, how you feel about music in general. I mean, and now it's probably like all consuming.
Yeah. I guess I'll take you a little bit further back.
Yeah, please.
So growing up, my two younger brothers, they're I think 10 and 11 years younger. So I was
quite a bit. Yeah.
I was quite older, and definitely was in the same house together at the same time. So it's not like I I didn't have that long with them, but long enough for them to drive me bananas, and yeah,
as little brothers do.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and we were really close, and we had quite a dysfunctional upbringing and household. And so I think that I was more of a mother figure than our mom was. And I think what they found, I learned how to type. And they learned how to play guitar and bass. And what you would find in my family on my mom's side is a lot of gifted musicians. And you've had the opportunity to meet my cousin, Samantha. She's an opera singer and a very gifted classical pianist and composer on her own. She's a band director. She went to the UCLA School of Music. And there's just gifted people, you know, people that, while they may not have done something with it like she did, you know, people that can sing, people that can play. And so it made sense to me that my brothers found this vehicle, which is music. And so, you know, way back in the day, it was, you know, take me to Guitar Center, take me to, you know, so constantly it was take me to Guitar Center. And we grew up like mostly, you know, San Diego, Orange County kind of blend, but we would go, you know, to the local Guitar Center. And
which one was it? Was it Fountain Valley?
No, when I was in Orange County, yes, Fountain Valley, and like La Mesa, the La Mesa store, because we were out kind of in that direction in San Diego. And so they would go and they would take the guitars off the walls and plug them into the amps, and you know, and they would play. And
what were you doing?
Waiting. Waiting for them, like saying, "Hurry up, let's go."
Yeah.
But I think even though I didn't think about it deeply back then, it was like something for them to do that I know that they loved. And to be able to pick up an instrument that, you know, most certainly cost more than, you know, my mother's car, you know, was a gift to be able to do that. And so, you know, they developed their skills. You know, one kind of played in a bunch of different punk bands, you know, local punk bands in San Diego. And, you know, he sang and, you know, got really into electric guitar. And the other, I think, was just competing with, you know, his older brother and taught himself how to play. And, you know, he ended up being in a band and literally traveled the globe, like traveled the whole world.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like, even though he'll complain and say he was taken advantage of, and the reality is you traveled the entire world with a band.
Yeah.
He's played for 50,000 people.
Oh, okay.
And like, who can say that, you know? And so I think when this opportunity came up, you know, I was coming from a long time in fashion, you know, which at the time was probably another passion of mine.
Okay.
And,
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
But Guitar Center, I'm like, I know Guitar Center. I know that dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
of
grew
course.
up with two of them.
Yeah.
And I know what it's like to be on the road. I know the kind of like grunt and grime and kind of hard work and everything that you put into it. And I think like it's really easy to watch, you know, somebody on a stage and go like, oh, that's glamorous or da da da. It's not glamorous.
No, it's
not glamorous at all. And like it's gritty hard work, I think. And just even making it to that level is really hard work. And so I kind of had an affinity, I guess, for Guitar Center, where I really like understood the customer and understood you know, what it provides in the world. And I've always thought that it's really important. And so to answer your question and bring it full circle, like that's why, you know, that's why I'm here. That's why I can not be an actual musician, but kind of get it. And, you know, I'm just not afraid of anything as a person. I just kind of like jump to the deep end of the pool and like, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And I have found so much joy at Guitar Center, so much joy in my work, in my, in our associates, our workforce, in my peer group. I mean, you name it, in the foundation. And, you know, I have lots of friends that, you know, have zero joy. In their job. Yeah. It is kind of just a means to, you know, pay for family
my
life.
sister is like that.
You know, I
She
don't want to
hates
be
it.
that person.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And, you know, like today, Robert Trujillo was here. We got to eat Metallica cookies. I mean, like, who does that? You know?
Totally.
I mean, it's like, it's a really special thing. And I don't take it lightly.
Yeah. And everybody thought that was amazingly cool.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so cool.
You know, when you say that, I knew that guy is also the employees, because, I mean, I feel like we all have this like passion for music. And I love the fact that like, So we've been thinking about doing an event called Women in Music, but not like the women who are playing music, but the women who are like the wives who hold down the fort when the men are on tour, and like just really appreciating women in music, even though they may not be like in the front or singing or whatever. So I think that's pretty interesting. That makes me want to do it even more.
Yeah.
I was thinking about when you started. So your daughter is 8.
I have 2 daughters. One is 32. Oh my God. Back to teenage mom. And then my other younger daughter is 11.
11.
Yes.
So she was really young when you started here.
Yeah, I think she was like
a
4,
baby.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I also think like a lot, there's not, we've been talking about there's not a lot of women in music, because I feel like a lot of them have to end up giving it up because they've had children, or, that's why, just there's not that much representation. But like, what was it like starting this gig, with a young daughter, and then the pandemic happened? And I just can't even imagine what an HR nightmare. Like I remember when it happened, I was still at my old job, and I just was like, when is this going to be over?
Yeah.
Like people are like, we're not going back to the office. And I'm like, what? We're not going back to the office? Like, this is crazy town. Like
someday I'll write a book.
You should.
It was very hard. Very hard is an understatement. And also like, not something that you're just going to put on your resume. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I operated through the pandemic.
But
who
you
cares?
should.
We all went through it,
Yeah.
But I think like operationally, decision making, like I had to become the COVID expert. We dealt with, I think, over 20,000 cases, COVID cases, me and my little team. Yeah.
Oh my God.
We had to make the calls on,
closing
do
down
you have to
stores?
mask? Do you not have to mask? The government kind of made the decision on the stores for us, but then it became like we were all there. Then it was like, okay, reopening. Are you an essential business? And so I feel like just shutting the stores, was a feat of its own. I mean, we literally worked around the clock. And then I feel like right when we got to the end of the road, it was like do the U-turn and then go back the other direction. And then it was like, okay, we were lighting stores up. And and even just managing the actual business part, flipping everything to e-commerce, ensuring that our warehouses were able to support that because our warehouses serve different functions.
Totally.
And people were scared.
Yeah.
People were scared for their jobs, their health. And so I think having a level of empathy where you're able to hold somebody's hand through those moments, no matter what level they are in the company, and, help them through, their hardest moments. Yeah. I was deeply hit with COVID, as you know, Micah. My husband is a retired firefighter, and he's the dummy that was like, oh, I think this pandemic or something like this is happening, and I'm going to go out and see what my guys are doing, because he was a chief. I'm going to go see what they're doing when they're responding to these patients. And
oh my God.
So literally March, he got it.
Okay.
And it was so early back then that we were barely just kind of like hearing about all this. And he just deathly ill, was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Like he was literally on death's door. Like it was really scary. And then my grandmother got it and passed. And so I think through all of this, still, working probably like 70-hour weeks to try to keep this business going. My daughter, not being able to go to preschool, kindergarten, whatever grade she was in at that point.
Where you're like quarantining and all of that.
Yeah. And it was just bananas. But I think, I think in those stressful moments, I'm probably that weird person that is at their best versus being crippled by it. Mm-hmm. And I just knew that our people needed leadership and our people deserve more, because when you think about it, a lot of our employees gig. Yeah. That's a big thing. And so they're professional musicians, and that's, largely part of how they support their families and themselves. And that all came to a stop. Yeah. And so I think there were very deep wounds beyond just, you can't come to work every day,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
it's
so
like your gigs are totally dried up. Yeah.
So like whatever I can do to help our people, get back on their feet, stay on their feet, give them hope, give them clarity, because I think, we all know that there was a lot of different narratives during the pandemic and a lot of misinformation and so forth. So we were battling a lot of that too. But I would say that people really thrive, I think, in structure and with clarity. Yeah. And so just whether you agreed with it or not is another matter. Yeah. But people kind of like knew the deal. Yeah. And they knew that we were communicating constantly about what needed to happen. And I think that people were grateful about that. I mean, a lot of people, you know, I was very worried because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to tell people they have to wear masks in stores and, like, you know, and do all these crazy things. And, you know, I was so worried that our workforce would just loathe me for these decisions, but it was actually quite the opposite. Yeah. And even people that, you know, disagreed with the direction, you know, would reach out to me to say thank you for leading during this moment. Aww. And even though I don't agree, I respect your position and that you have to make a call. Yeah. And like, just big warm hug to our people, because I think, you know, everything that we do is because of our people. And, you know, our people pay all of our paychecks. And that really, I'm not just saying that really means a lot to me. And so I think that was a really hard time for everybody. And no matter what you learn, right? But again, it's not necessarily something I'm putting on my resume. I would like to not be hired to do that, actually. Well, ever. Like ever again. Nobody wants to do that again.
Ever again.
But that's when leadership matters, right? Is in those hard moments.
Yeah, for sure. So just kind of going back to like music now, because I don't have kids. And so you had made this comment about when you played with the band, like she was playing this keyboard and like literally one note. And I was like the proudest mom. And you said like, I was like the stage mom. That's like the closest I've ever been to being a stage mom. So I was like so excited. I was all like,
you're so funny. You were like behind me.
But I was so excited. Oh, so like, I'm so glad that you did that. Like, you know,
it was fun.
Did they make you do it or you just agreed or you wanted to?
Remember, I'll do anything. Like I don't have it.
Throwing the deep end. Just put me in.
I don't usually like question much. Like if it seems fun, I'll try it. I'll go do it. And so no, they didn't have to pressure me at all.
Okay,
and you know, I think it was more pressure just wanting to like be the bandmate they needed and only know how to play like 2 notes on the piano. Like, I think I told you, Tatum, my younger daughter, she plays the keyboard. She hates it, by the way, hates it. If she never touched it again, she'd be a happy girl. But when I was learning one of the songs, I think it was AC/DC something. And it was really hard. Like it was easy, I'm sure easy for most people, but hard for me. Mm-hmm. And so she said, Mom, just watch and just move and watch. And like no notes, no nothing. She just sat down and played it. She just like started keying and listening,
figuring it
out. And she actually helped me a lot.
Oh my God.
And then I just started playing songs and I'm like, play it. And she, Don't Stop Believing. Yeah. Like she knocked that out. I wish she loved it more. But again, like, you know, she's got my mother's blood. So I think she does have that musical ability, even though she
probably felt like so proud to teach you, right?
She was very proud and she's much, much more of a patient teacher than me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I also just love that, like, in music, I think we oftentimes, you know, especially as music educators, we're like, oh, you have to know all these notes and all these keys and all these things. And we get caught up in that. Mm-hmm. But just to be able to, like, experience being on stage and playing, even though you maybe are only playing one note, like, that's always been an important thing for me to, like, give to people, you know, because I want them to, like, have that. You don't have to be perfect and great.
Don't.
It's just fun. Have fun and get out of your head. Like, musicians are so in their head.
Exactly. I mean, like, I think that's one of the things that I really loved seeing my brothers play. Like, neither one of them were classically trained. They couldn't read notes. They just played by ear, really. And, like, to see somebody kind of just, like, pick up an instrument and play it without even knowing how to play it and have it be decent, right, or really, really good is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
It's just mind-blowing. I always had this dream of like, I want to be like on the beach or around the campfire with an acoustic guitar and like do folk songs. Like that sounds fun.
Yeah.
But anybody can. Yeah. That's the real deal. So, you know, I'm a pretty good typer, and I just often think like, okay, I learned how to type. My brothers learned how to play the guitar and the bass and whatever else. And I wish I would have funneled that like finger energy into an instrument.
There's got to be like some sort of Passover thing, though. I mean, there's got to be some skills that are.
There has to be.
I mean, there has to be, right?
Yeah.
Is typing like going away? Do you feel like do kids still learn to type? Like I remember we had contests to see who could type the fastest.
Yeah.
And I,
do you remember Mavis Beacon?
No.
Oh my gosh, that was like a program that they had like way back in the day. Like I remember like 7th grade or something. It's like ASDF on the typewriter.
Oh my God. It's the same though. It's the same
I'll tell you, like Tatum still has to type, so no, it's not going away.
Okay, good.
However, like voice to text, like I even have been doing that for years. Like it makes it a lot faster and easier. So I don't know. We'll see.
Or when the keyboard is not QWERTY, or what do you call it? Is that what, like the old school way? Now they're changing it.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's weird to me.
Don't move my cheese. I need my keyboard to be the way that it is.
I know. Did y'all ever have contests to like who could type the fastest?
Oh yeah.
I was always like so competitive about that.
Oh yeah. Me too.
So tell me a little bit about the foundation, like why you're such an advocate for it. And like, I'm really starting to realize even more so now, like how much you have been supporting it and making it happen and make sure it's still part of our culture and organization. So where does that come from?
Look, I think that it comes from providing access, like really at the core, I think that's what it is. And, again, like seeing my brothers grow up and like they couldn't afford to buy a guitar, and I certainly couldn't afford to buy them one. But to be able to provide access to kids that, or adults even that otherwise wouldn't have had access, I think that's really important. And, I understand like the digital age is growing and people are now like leaning, heavy into like production and audio engineering and the, this kind of like digital side of the business. And you can do like various instruments digitally. But I think at the core, music is so much more than that. And I would just literally hate it if, instruments evaporated and it just became some digital, thing. Because I think that it provides so much more than even just the music. Yeah. I think it's an outlet. It's a path forward. It's, mental health. It's, brain development. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I had my daughter learn the piano, is because I'm terrible at math, terrible. And I had read something that said instruments are great to start them really young, and that it actually helps with your math skills because of the way that your brain works. And so, I really believe in these things. And I think just to see students with an instrument in their hand and, whether they're good or bad doesn't matter. I think you can see the joy in someone's face, trying something new, making themselves proud. It's good for your ego. Like I could go on. And I will tell you that Saturday, it was Sunday, I was at the Westlake store. Tatum was in a recital and she sang.
Oh my God.
It was quite funny. She got up there and sang her little heart out. But watching all of the kids, I was literally blown away. I mean, there were kids that were incredible, that composed their own music, that, sang and played and did all these things. And I just kept thinking about the foundation because I'm like, okay, these parents are also giving their time, right? Like they're not doing the work, but they're giving the time. They're taking them to lessons. They're buying them an instrument. They're coming to their recital and clapping.
They're forcing them to practice.
Yeah, and making them feel so proud. And not every student has that opportunity, right? I mean, a lot of students don't. Yeah. And so the fact that we're able to help bring a dream alive or unlock a dream that a student didn't know they had, to me is just everything. So, I mean, that's to answer your question why I'm so passionate about the foundation. And why I work really internally. Like, you do all the external work, and like whatever I can do internally to help share the message. And it means everything to me to now have, a C-suite of people who really care, who play, who get it, who are excited by it, and are totally digging the work of the foundation. Wearing your gear, wearing the support musicians gear.
Merch. Yay.
Yeah. So sorry, I was going to wear mine today, but I had an interview, so I needed to look like the HR lady. Yeah.
Oh, the HR lady. It's so funny because Leof, the guy that we gave the music education award to at the event, he was saying how much he hated the piano, and that he had this one song that he would just play, and he would just kind of like improvise and turn it into all these different styles. So I think like even if she hates it right now, I think eventually there's going to be a moment where maybe she'll pick up something else and it'll just click so much easier.
Yeah.
Because it's like she's got the vitamins. Like it's like she's taking her vitamins.
Yeah.
And she obviously has got an ear.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, now she's playing the viola in school.
She is.
In school. So, they have to move on to B&O instruments. So we told her, okay, you can pause your piano lessons while you're doing viola, because it's a lot. And, so now instead of listening to her beautiful piano, we're listening to
I've been listening to that for years. Yeah. I know. It's the Suzuki method. Hamburger and hot dog. I know.
Yep.
Pepperoni pizza.
Yeah.
I've been listening to it for years.
Maybe she'll find it again. I don't know. Like, maybe she'll find a love for it.
Well, the fact that she sang, that's awesome. I was always afraid to sing in front of people.
Oh my God, it takes such courage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not much of a crier, but I have to say,
Did
I had
you cry?
A tear in my eye. I did.
You did?
Yeah.
I wish I would have known.
To have that courage is unbelievable. It's so raw, and just bare.
Yeah.
To like go and vulnerable, to just stand up and all eyes are on you. And like every mistake is yours and every reward is yours. And, so I think it's incredible.
Yeah. There's so many cases where I hear about girls specifically who were really, really shy and afraid to sing. And then, once they kind of got in the band and started singing, they've like become different kinds of people. Just so many of the stories. So it's right. Like the confidence level that gives you and just the support of your colleagues. And it's so awesome. But I wanted to ask you another HR question, actually. So how do you create culture across all these different brands? Because you manage HR across all the brands, correct?
I do.
So like music and arts, AVDG, GC Pro, Guitar Center. Yep. How do you do that?
Well, number one, I would say like I have an incredible team.
Yeah.
And so they largely are kind of shepherding that in the various brands that we have. I have Jen Hooper-Bray at Music and Arts, and, she eats, breathes music and arts all day long. They have a different culture than Guitar Center. And, it's really band and orchestra centric, and, all the band kids are there. What is the same is the deep passion around music. But it's different. And, then you have Guitar Center, which I think is a little more like rock and roll, a little more, I don't want to say fun, but, a little less rigid, than I think what like formal band and orchestra is. And then you have AVDG, and like they're really building solutions for audio visual versus playing music, but there's still that, audio kind of hearing, sound, engineering, and then GC Pro, which is, more on the business to business. And a lot of those guys came from Guitar Center.
Right.
And so shepherding the culture, I think, is hard. It's not just me. I would never say that like I own the culture, because the reality is we all own the culture. And everything we do creates culture for the good and the bad. And, there's this saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I find that that's completely true. Or it takes years to build culture and a minute to destroy it, and it's true. I've seen it. And so I think trying to keep people on track with, what are the expectations when you work at this company, not only from a business and performance perspective, but how we behave, how we give feedback, how we problem solve. Like, it's okay to get mad and it's okay to be upset and it's okay to cry, like feel your feelings. But at the end of the day, we're here to drive the business and be good to our people and, create a growth pattern for them that allows them to, have a family, buy a home, gig, travel, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
I think work is much more than just a job to me, because you're making like life and living possible for people. And so when I think about the culture, I think about that. It's like, how do we do that in the best way for our folks? And how do we celebrate the differences across our brands? But also create some sense of, a string that kind of weaves between all the brands, that there's a sameness, which isn't easily accomplished. But I think like that's what we're all here working hard to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. I was going to ask you something else, just about the culture across the brands, but also like the experience that we're creating that for the customer. And like, have you seen that shift like in the last year
Big
or
time.
so? And like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Big time. I mean, I think when Gabe came on board, he was a board member for 5 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And so while he never shared any frustration with me, I imagine now he probably was pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
Because he is a customer and he does play.
Yeah.
And so, I think that all good intentions always, in terms of just how people show up and what they're trying to do and what we're trying to drive as a business. All good intentions, but I think we really did lose our way with the customer. I think we locked all the guitars. That like literally flies in the face of what Guitar Center has always been, right?
About access,
And, our stores got really dingy and dirty and unkempt. Our inventory product strategy was wrong. And I think all of these kind of like smaller decisions moved us further and further away from the customer instead of bringing us super close to the customer, which makes me sad because most of our employees are the customer,
right?
So it's like you don't have to look hard to figure it out. All you got to do is ask somebody who's probably standing right next to you.
Yeah, totally.
And so I think Gabe really understood that. And while he hasn't led a company of this size or this type of company, retail, or any like hard product merchandising, I think like he made quick work of the product selection. So the inventory, strategy basically, and the assortment. And I think instinctively he kind of knew what customers would want, especially in the guitar realm.
Yeah.
And that's where we started, and so that's when it's like, well, why are we locking the guitar? Why? Unlock them. Oh, well, we're worried about theft and shrink and all these things. And, we're still worried about that. I don't want somebody coming in and taking a $10,000 guitar off the wall and running out the door. Like, I find that personally offensive.
Yeah, me too,
right?
How dare you?
But that's not a reason to put bars
right. The
between
reward is
us
not,
and the customer, right?
Totally, yeah.
And so I think, like, he picked some low-hanging fruit to say, like, this is how we're going to approach this. And then there was much, I think, deeper, longer tail work that we're still doing now. I do not mean to represent that, we're done and
all the problems have been solved.
No, they haven't been solved. But I also feel like, if you're in an industry like ours, the problem's never solved.
Yeah.
It's constant. We should always be evolving and looking for new ways to serve our customer and make life easier, make life exciting, all of those things. Last week we had customers on site, I think maybe like 10 or so customers for a customer panel. And we just kept it super low key. We had women, we had men, they were all professional musicians in their own right.
Oh, cool.
Various kind of lanes, various instruments. And it was so cool to be able to just sit down and pick their brain about, like, I think it's easy for people to tell you what they like. it's harder to get people to say what they don't like. And that's what we want to know.
Oh, really?
Like, what's really making you crazy? Yeah, it's funny in that way.
Or they tell you what they think you want to hear.
I mean, easy to put it on social media when you don't have to
that's what
look
I'm gonna
at
say.
somebody,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But, like, you have a CEO like staring at you in the eyeballs. I imagine that's a little like, whoa, like a surreal moment. But I think they were very honest, and that's just another example of us getting closer to our customer.
Yeah.
You know, Gabe has done these in various parts. I think he did one in Dallas, did one maybe on the East Coast. And these are things that we should have always been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting to bring this work forward to help it shape the Guitar Center and music and arts of tomorrow. Like, that's really what we're trying to get to. And I think we have something that's unique and different. And, you know, experiential retail, I think it's just funny that it's something that a lot of retailers are trying to chase and have been for a long time, even from, you know, my time in the fashion industry.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have to do that.
Right. It's like in your face, whether
We've
you
had
like
it all along, you know, and that's
Yeah.
what musicians want. And, you know, cool things like our pedal table that, you know, we've developed and brought to stores, Rig Advisor and AI tools. So I think that blend of being able to take, you know, a modern approach and like add some technology to that experience is really, I think, going to be life-changing and a big win for our customers. And it gives us the right to have a lot of fun too. But I think so when you ask if I have felt like what are the big changes, I think those are huge changes. And I'll tell you something funny that I asked the customer panel folks, you know, over the last year, what have you felt that's really different when you walk into a Guitar Center? I kind of thought they would say something about like the pedal table's super cool. You know, they all mentioned unlocking of the guitars, you know, so I thought they would go back to that. And you know what they said was the store's way cleaner and much more organized. Yeah. But I said, wow, that is a huge, huge win.
Yeah.
You cannot even imagine how hard it is to get the stores cleaner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible, intense amount of work and a lot of controls there to kind of like check, double check.
Yeah, of course.
And make sure that like our folks understand the expectation. Who wants to walk into a dirty store?
It's
Nobody
like the kids that play with their toys and leave them all over the place.
Completely.
Yeah, it's
and
exactly
there's kids
that.
there. You know, we have lessons business.
Well,
there's kids in
But even the
stores.
adults, you know, it's like...
Yep, exactly. And it's kind of funny that like...
That is
I think
surprising.
one of the RVPs or one of the DMs, you know, said, well, I'm just telling them like treat the store, you know, as if how you do at your own house. And I go, please don't.
Don't say that.
Because you don't know, like... my house is probably kept differently than your house or somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, you don't... What does that actually say? And so I think that kind of goes back to like the structure and the clarity.
Yeah.
Just tell them what the expectation is. Like, this is what right looks like.
Yeah.
Because then they have a fighting chance to get it right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's been a key unlock for us that is really hard to get. Probably a little less sexy, but hard, right?
Yeah.
It's true.
And at the end of the day, it becomes sexy.
Exactly.
Cleanliness is sexiness.
Exactly.
Oh
So,
my
I
God.
mean, endless changes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So last thing, because I know you got to go. Do you have a particular story about somebody that you've like, you know, maybe somebody that you let go that later like called you and said thank you, or like somebody that you helped like mentor and bring up that maybe you didn't think was gonna meet the expectation and did? Or do you have like a personal kind of like...
Look, I don't mind giving people big chances, whether I'm entirely sure they can do it or not. I don't mind that, because that's how I got to where I am today. Is I think, sure, you know-how and, you know, a bunch of other things, but it's also a little bit of luck. So what I don't think people realize sometimes is that no matter how smart you are, no matter how much experience you have, there is still like this little bit of luck, right? Like this opportunity kind of like happens and it was in front of you, and like, did you grab the brass ring or not, right? And so it's like the confidence to grab it and see what happens, but then also like the know-how and the experience and et cetera. And so I would say that, you know, I have a couple of people on my team that raise their hand for jobs that they had no business doing and way too big if you just looked at their like experience and their resume, etc. And I'm like, yeah,
let's go for it.
Partly a little bit of a product of like, I don't have anybody else to do it and it needs to get done. A little bit of luck that they were in the moment, you know, a little bit of like, we have a relationship and I trust you. You know, a little bit of that gut instinct about like, this is the right person. And like, if I could just bottle that and sell it, I would be a rich lady.
Yeah.
And so I have just endless examples of things like that. I think for the better and for the worse, you know, I've also had conversations with people to say like, this isn't the right role for you.
Yeah.
And I need something much different. And I don't think you're happy and I'm not happy. And, you know, I think even in those situations, I still feel like that's the right thing to do for employees because often people move on and find something they love and that they're good at.
And they may not even realize they were stuck somehow.
And they feel like, you know, feel like, wow, this is a way better opportunity than I had before. And I have had people that, you know, we've had those conversations and part ways and they've called me later. Of course, it's hard in the moment. I get it. But they called me later to say that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I never would have made that decision on my own. So I think, you know, whichever road you're on, I think it's still a journey no matter what. And, you know, having people that support you one way or the other, I think is really what gets us to the next place in our life. And so I would say Robin, you know, my employee, the VP of HR, Robin, I've worked with her for numerous years. And she started working for me when she was like 21 and I was like 30 or something. I mean, we were so young. You know, Christine, our director of talent acquisition, started working with me when she was an intern. Like she had just graduated or was graduating from UC Irvine.
Wow.
And so like I have endless stories. Kari Schmidt was my daughter's kindergarten teacher.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, and, you know, she really wanted to get out of teaching. And I said, well, have you thought about learning and development? You know, it's different teaching adults for sure. Yeah. But I think that there's some sameness there and definitely have skills, you know, that are transferable in terms of like organizing a plan and, you know, all of those good things and kind of like standing up a program and all of that. And, you know, she's doing a great job. And,
that's awesome.
You know, I had plucked her out of Four Seasons. She left her teaching job and was hosting at Four Seasons.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, why are you here hosting at Four Seasons? Not that there's any shame in that.
Right.
But I know what she's capable of. Yeah. And I just thought, no, I think you need to be teaching. Maybe it's not 5-year-olds, which kudos to anybody that can do that, right?
Yeah.
That I think just again, endless stories about people that, you know, I've partnered with on their career journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you for partnering with me on mine.
Of
and
course.
Thank you just for all your support and, you know, honestly for spending time with me this afternoon in your busy schedule. And I just appreciate it so much.
Thank you for spending time with me.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was fun.
All right, let's do it again.
Okay, let's do it.
You made it to the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. It was so inspirational for me. If you enjoyed it, please like us, please follow us, subscribe, comment in the comments, do all the things. Go to guitarcenterfoundation.org, make a donation, help us continue to give music to people who need it the most.